Friends, it's always very moving, and I feel a great fear to appear before the friends, the greatest of their generation. Every week we rotate between these 31, and we prepared this mutual preparation. We gathered each day, we argued a bit to find that common point. We went through all kinds of criticism, but every meeting we connected, more requested, more, and only we couldn't go through any day without meeting among each other at every morning, afternoon, and evening meeting. We got forces, inspiration, and the love of our connection. We felt the heart of each and every friend. We opened our hearts, and we want, with that force, with that feeling, to enter together into this lesson and to give all that love that we were given to feel from above. Now we want to share with you that love, so go ahead, let me remind you of the validity of love of friends, despite everything at this time, for it is upon this that our right to exist depend, and upon this near to come success is measured. And turn away from all the imaginary engagements, and set your hearts on thinking thoughts and devising proper tactics to truly connect your hearts as one. So the words love your friend as yourself will literally come true in you. For verse does not reach beyond the literal, and you will be cleaned by the thought of love that will cover all crimes. Test me in that and begin to truly connect in love, and then you'll see the palate well taste. Let me remind you the validity of love of friends, in spite of everything at this time, for it is upon this that our right to exist depends, and upon this our near to come success is measured. Turn away from all the imaginary engagements, and set your hearts on thinking thoughts and devising proper tactics to truly connect your heart as one. So the words love your friend as yourself will literally come true in you. For verse does not reach beyond the literal, and you will be cleaned by the thought of love that will cover all crimes. Test me in that and begin to truly connect in love, and then you will see the palate well taste. I see. Do we bless you all on this holiday of caught? We got this great privilege to give the preparation during this holiday, as you know it's a great fear to appear before the world clearly, in order not to come out of the intention. And really, this preparation of ours is a miracle of Sukkot, because from the first day we felt that huge goal that we need to connect around in order to awaken the world clear. In the preparation to this lesson, we did everything we could each, and every friend gave room for the friends. Each one did everything that was possible in order to feel this unity, and gave this effort to give it to the whole world clear. Only at the end did we choose the speakers. We understood that friends from Belarus, Ukraine, and Russia did this preparation just to understand how it lacks importance in relation to the huge goal that stands before us. So let us all share in this great goal and get into this next excerpt of BAM that will help us rise to the levels of love of their friends, so that we'll feel this connection between us and the love for the Creator. Please, I will also ask that you make great efforts and love both friends to devise tactics that can increase the love among the friends and revoke the lust for bodily matters among you. This is what casts hate, and between those who give contempt to their Maker there shall be no hatred, rather there are great compassion and love between them, and these things are simple. I will also ask that you make great efforts and love of friends to devise tactics that can increase the love among the friends and revoke the lust for bodily matters from among you, as this is what cast hate, and between those who give contentment to their Maker there shall be no hatred, rather there are great compassion and love between them, and these things are simple. Dear friends, it's truly a huge privilege, great joy during this complex time to sit together as brothers and to make recommendations so that we can increase the love between us. We're getting into an active workshop. Which of my efforts does the friends' progress depend on? Again, which of my efforts does the friends program depend on? Active Workshop the advancement of the friends. Depends on the efforts that I make, how much I bestow to them, how much I exert. In love of friends, the more I exert and add to the 10 and connection and devotion. This is how I give my part to the advent of the 10. In essence, each one is responsible not for himself, but for the advancement of his friends. I want to speak about the efforts that I saw yesterday at the meal. I cried a few times from that very, very smart and funny clip that we watched all the way to the sons of Gilman, who just adjust through simple things. They project love in a very pleasant way. That's all. Yeah, was truly a moving meal. Said something. They started the preparation today. Said there are 3 tens who gathered together, and sometimes there was connection, there was disconnection, a bit of anger. In short, they worked. It's felt that they worked, and this is really our work, and need to love me, but I need to love the friends, and that's all that's needed for the friends to progress. That's all our prayer, and the main thing is the effort in the prayer and common efforts, and we worked on that yesterday. There was enjoy. Told me I want my prayers to be for the friends, and my concern will be for the friends this entire. For the first, which on the one hand it's so natural of what will be with me, with my progress, that we give such confidence to each other that no one will be concerned with themselves. We free them from that self-concern for the sake of being concerned about others, and that gives a great deal of joy to their friends. Others are thinking about him, and they make room for him. They can think of him, you can think of them. It's like a snowball. Everyone can now think of the entire 10. Yeah, and the oxygen of the friends doesn't depend on them, but it depends on me to the extent in which I supply the force, the strength, the greatness, the importance, and the effort to connect and give examples. By doing so, I add oxygen to the friends and help them progress. Said that in this prayer I ask not to ask for myself. That's really strong, it's really powerful. Let's ask from the Creator and ask for the friends constantly, for him to give us this power to turn to the Creator for their friends, and that turn to the friends comes through all the efforts that we do, where from us it's demanded efforts. At the end of the day, efforts in prayer and in connection between us all. In all, says all of the actions that we do it not for ourselves, we do it for the sake of the friends. The only thing we need is to arrange our intentions so the light that we draw will serve their friends. Yeah, that's what the Creator wants from us, and he's happy from these actions, and he really answers them. Efforts are mutual. No one can extract himself from prison and make a big change unless heirs that spirit of the common efforts which gives them the power to turn this effort into a qualitative one, and we quite that in the last few this recent period. So many friends are thinking about us and making that connection between us and the Creator, and we've been awarded with their greatest thing, like each one toward their friend. And that's not something that's so clear. Dear friends, let's think of the connection between us. Ask the Creator to help us to feel the love of friends in our hearts. Let's enter a silent workshop. Let's enter a connection in one heart and feel the Creator there. Shalom. Hello, we are reading from the writings of Rash in the Hebrew version. It's the 3rd volume on page 257, article number 89 to the end article. For you can ask questions at Kabbalah group info or on the AR system. Everyone who's asking questions here in the hall is requested to stand up, hold the mic close to the mouth, and speak clearly and loudly. An article for Sukkot. You shall sit in Sukkot huts for 7 days. Every citizen in Israel shall sit in Sukkot, so your generations may know that I placed the sons of Israel in Sukkot when I brought them out from the land of Egypt. I am the Lord their God. Rabbi Elzar says actual Sukkot and Rabbi Acker clouds of glory. How can there be such a gap between them? One interprets a corporeal sukkah and one interprets a spiritual sukkah, which is clouds of glory. However, they are p and on the part of the awakening from below, the making of the Sukkar is an actual. Su on the part of the awakening from. Above it is the seven clouds of glory. Sit means dwell as. In the concealed things belong to the Lord our God. Sages of ethics interpret that the matter of go out from permanent residence and sit in temporary residence is so they will know and notice that this world is like a motel, and temporary lodging it is written in Psalms you hide them in concealment of the face from the conspiracies of man you conceal them in a sukkar in a hut from the strife of tons. Rashi interpreted the conspiracies of man as the connection of the wicked who connive in order to harm them. We should understand what is concealment of the face, since the rule is that the face is revealed, and how is the face related to the Creator. Also, what is the meaning of you conceal them in or from the strife of tons? What is the difference between su and concealment of the face? We find the word sitting in the upper concealment and the meaning of upper concealment. What is lower concealment? We also find his concealment is straightness. We should ask if it is concealment. How do we know that it is straightness and not a circle? Perhaps this is the meaning of Yosser and Ulan, straightness and circles, respectively, where in the quality of Ulan there is no concealment, but the light shines equally to the small and to the great, and this is time the recollection from the world of Tsum, the world of restriction. Straightness means according to the line that was done in the Titim Tsum. Accordingly, what we see that there is concealment is straight as in straight thinking. The matter of Pim revealed means revealing of the panim, and the concealment of the panim. The sukkar is made of 4 walls and a fetch, but the place of the sukkar is ready, so one can build one sukkar on the ground, which is the substance, and on this substance we make a form, the form of a sukkar. We should understand the meaning of ws and the thatch, which is waste of barn and vineyard. It is known that there are 4 sides, and above and below these are called above and below. Reading, we say, in the name of the Lord God of Israel. Michael to my right, and Gabriel to my left, and Eel before me, and Raphael behind, and over my head of God. Why is nothing said concerning below, which corresponds to H? Below is discerned as the ground, which is man. If he does a kosher, a proper sukkar, he is regarded as called the beauty of the su, but if not the H, the beauty comes D pain stricken, which are the same letters as H. In other words, nothing should be implied concerning the place of the earth, rather what one extends and aims in all 5 way it will appear in the earth, which is the quality of man who extends from the root of mal, called she has nothing of her own. In other words, she has nothing of herself except what she is given. Thus it depends on the form of the sukkar. No. Well, let's hear it again. Article 892 and Article 4. Sukkot, you shall sit in Sukkot huts for 7 days. Every citizen in Israel shall sit in Sukkot, so your generations may know that I placed the sons of Israel in Sukkot when I brought them out from the land of Egypt. I am the Lord your God. Leviticus 43:23. Rabbi Elzah says act, and Rabbi Acker clouds of glory. How can there be such a gap between them? One interprets a corporeal sukkar, and one interprets a spiritual sukkar, which is clouds of glory. However, their pim interior face and a posterior back on the part of the awakening from below. The making of sukkar is an actual sukkar on the PE of the awakening from above. It is the 7 clouds of glory, means dwell as. In the concealed things belong to the Lord our God. Sages of ethics interpret that the matter of go out from permanent residence and sit in temporary residence is so they will know and notice that this world is like a motel, and temporary lodging it is written in Psalms you hide them in concealment of the face from the conspiracies of man. You conceal them in a sukkar, in a hut from the strife of tongues. Rashi interpreted the conspiracies of man as the connection of the wicked who connive in order to harm them. You should understand what is concealment of the Face, since the rule is that the face is revealed. How is the face related to the Creator? Also, what is the meaning of you? Conceal them in a sukkah from the strife. But tons, what is the difference between sukkah and concealment of the face? We find the word sitting in the Abba, concealment, and the meaning of Abba. Concealment, what is lower? Concealment, we also find his concealment is straightness. Should ask if it is concealment had we know that it is straightness and not a circle. Perhaps this is the meaning of Yoser and Ulan, straightness and circles, respectively, where in the quality of Ulim there is no concealment, but the light shines equally to the small and to the great. This is the rim of the Rekig. Where collection from the world of Timim. Restriction, straightness means according to the line that was done in the Timim. Accordingly, what we see that there is concealment, straight as in straight. Thinking, the matter of P means revealing of the panim, and concealment of the panim is made of 4 walls and a fetch. The place of the sukkah is ready for one can build one sukkah on the ground, which is the substance, and on this substance we make a form of a. We should understand the meaning of walls and the sch, which is waste of b. Barn and vineyard is known, but there are 4 sides, and above and below. These are called and above and h. Below in the shma reading we say, in the name of the Lord God of Israel. Michael to my right, Gabriel to my left, Yul before me, and Raphael behind and over my head. The of God, why is nothing said concerning below, which corresponds to Hud. Below is discerned as the ground, which is man if he does a koser a proper sukkah. He's regarded as h, called the beauty of their sukkah, but if not the h, the beauty becomes d. Pain stricken, same letters is Hud. In other words, nothing should be implied concerning the place of the earth, rather what one extends and aims. And all 5 in this way it will appear in the earth, which is the quality of man, who extends from the root of malat, called she has nothing of her own. In other words, she has nothing of herself except what she is given. Thus it depends on the form of the sukkah. Short questions. First, I want to say that yesterday 10 sat at the sukkah, and we did a big action to sit at the suin. We got importance, and we came to the suin, we sang songs. It was very nice. And he speaks here about a kosher or a proper sukkah. I don't know how much it was a kosher sukkah. What is the deal here where he's talking about a kosher sukkah? It's not enough that we come with the right intention, and he differentiate here a kosker from anchor. It means that we have to build sukkah according to the requirements, according to the laws that the sages have determined, and there's a great deal of detail in it: the width, length, depth, height, all sorts of things. When to sit, there how to sit, there how to enter, how to exit, what you can and cannot do, what you are not allowed to do in the sukkah. There are many laws who teaches us we really came with the right intention, but we really don't know if we did. That ultimately we must do is what you do, which is to enter the sukkah. Have talit prayer sh for species. You have to wrap yourself in the spiritual and pray for the 4 species in the sukkah. Can. Why does the Creator seat the people of Israel in order after the exit from Egypt along the way? From the exile is into Israel. They went through this time that we call Sukkot. Therefore, according to the commandments of the Creator, they celebrated Sukkot and sat in them. Why is it precisely in a desert? In the desert, because all our exile is like an desert with no life. So precisely from the state of exiting Egypt, and something dry that has no leaf. What is that state? Well, they had life and livelihood in Egypt. Sometimes it's written about Egypt that it was like it was very good for them, relative to the ego, the will to receive. So again, even after the exit from Egypt in the desert, they went through a certain restriction before they built the sukkah. No, you told me, or I heard that before you build a surah, the process is first to make a restriction, not annulment, nothing like that. But before we make the Sukkah no, it's the other way around to build the sukkah is to climb up a degree, to do something to reach a temporary abode. Although you're out of all the matters related to home, you have no home or anything, but you are on the way from exile to the place you will later refer to as the land of Israel, but for the time being you have nothing, and that's why you're building there. Sukkah B, to house it possible to make a screen without a restriction. I don't understand what you're talking about. In the process of making a screen, we do that in order to be awarded with being able to have the light of or the reflected light. So usually it's a restriction screen. Can we receive the reflected light? I don't know, I can't quite understand you spiritually. What does it mean that the person makes it's a commandment that he has to build a sukkah, because the patriarchs on the way from the exile from Egypt to Israel, they built a sukkah, that our forefathers built a sukkah. Okay, nice. So what now? What does it mean that a person makes orca spiritually speaking, corporally speaking? We have to observe the commandment of sukkah. We have to build according to the conditions, according to the rules, and sit in it for 7 days. Why do we do it today? Because it's a. So how is that beneficial to our spiritual progress? It's beneficial, extremely beneficial. First of all, we learn about it from our teachers, from Basim, from Rash, how much they were concerned with it to have a su as kosher and as qualified of a sukkah they can get. They made it with great deal of adornment, I understand. So we built a sukkah, we sat in it, we worked with this, we did everything we needed to do. Now internally, what does it mean to build a sukkah? What does it mean that a person builds on their internal level? Means that we are creating or making a vessel, although we understand it is only a temporary vessel. We prepared nevertheless according to the commandment of our teacher. Why is it temporary? And of itself is a temporary thing. It exists for 7 days. But what's so special about this temporary vessel with lights surrounding, lights where for an entire week we are under the influence of the surrounding lights that pass through us and become our inner light? Understood from study this week that the thatch we build from waste, that is the intention that we do. But what is the construction of the sukkah itself? What does the person build here? What does he make here? What CLE, what vessel of sukkah? The sukkah itself is a vessel, and from what does he make it? From the waste of barnyard and winery, from all kind of pieces of wood. Yeah, can I paid attention that he writes here that the 4 sides are above and below, and they are called and above and below. Where is your sword? Where is that you so against in the sukkah? That's what's written, because the person, it says, is the basis, which is H, where if he built a cos, which we need to understand. So he's called doesn't write about what is that the ground of the sug. I don't know if it doesn't say it. I don't want to determine anything. Says here that this, so that they will know that and pay attention, that that this world is like a motel and a temporary. In what does that mean? That we here only temporarily in order to keep to observe a few rules the Creator wants us to observe, and then we transition to a different state. So what does that mean for us? Not to identify with life, to look at it as something temporary. What does it mean? But everybody understands what's written in the simple text, and that's how we should treat it. And in any case, he is adamant that this temporary residence, that it needs to be the most beautiful and most adorned. And you said that if they would even move a little thing in the su, he would immediately pay attention. So from that, what does that need to be? What does our attitude to the world need to be? That in our attitude, the way we relate to small things, even in the commandment of the sukkah, we can probably change our spirituality by a great deal to advances toward a goal. At the end of the article, he says that there's this structure with and all there, but it's a foundation that we build on the desire, and the person is the outcome of all of That's so we always say that we need to invest in the connection between us. Yeah, and in the yearning to connect with the Creator, and from that we get this outcome called man. Is he speaking about that same thing here, that the seeker is a certain structure of connection between us, and at the end man is the outcome of those efforts? Yes, that's you can say it this way. Person is a result and outcome. He says that the person is an outcome, that there's a matter here of not so clear that mal is active here. So what does it mean that it has nothing of itself? Who is it that acts? Who is it that builds a person? So there is this awakening from below. What does it mean that it has nothing of itself? That's what we call mal. It has nothing of itself, but because it serves all the qualities that come before her, and then consequently she acquires everyone's qualities. That's in terms of its intention. Yes, when it writes at the beginning of the article where he writes about the clouds of glory from the awakening from below and awakening from above, he calls that spiritual and real. So what is that? Is that relative? Yes. Sure. What is the difference between a sukha, like he writes there, that on behalf of a corporeal person, and these 7 clouds of glory? These are 2 forms of concealment. Yes, so what in any case is the difference between them? The difference between the 7 clouds, the glory, is mostly about the thatch when a person whatsoever screen between him and the Creator, or he can relate to his Creator in a certain way. Then the festival becomes adapter of sorts between the person and the Creator, surrounding light. That's why how this is how we relate to it. We can see it with all the customs in no temporary residence. A person has no connection with the Creator. There is, but the apartment itself is not supporting any connection, whereas the Su does, and this connection, because seeker is a commandment, it's a command from above that a person needs to do. It's not that out of the process of work he goes with that connection, but there is the correct time and the correct state where then he can exit the temporary residence and enter into connection with the Creator, with the surrounding life. As Hugh said, the rest of the time, what happens? The rest of the time of the work, what kind of connection does the person have? A different connections, but not like the ones in Sukkot. What is the unique connection of Sukkot? Special link of social connection is through those vessels that a person reveals during that week. His connection with the Creator. These are vessels in which a person cannot be in connection with them when during a temporary residence. What's he lacking in them? Mostly surrounding light, but the surrounding light is always outside of the vessel. No, and not is it different? It's different. Nevertheless, we draw the reforming light, the surrounding lights. During Syot, from the outside to the inside, we pull it. So that's it. The Su is a sort of an instrument through which we receive the surrounding lights. Otherwise you can't, you don't know how, you don't feel it, you don't know how to connect to these surrounding lights. The fetch that is made of waste is because in the temporary residence he cannot receive in those vessels. That is why it is considered waste. All the conditions of Syot exist in a person who wishes to carry it out, because it's the will of the Creator. It's not like the way you want to ask it now. Why is it not in the permanent lodging, so on so forth? Rather, it's the desire of the Creator, it's the will of the Creator for this to happen in these conditions. So on the person's behalf, it's only sensitivity of the state that the Creator gave him this opportunity. Yes, that opportunity doesn't always exist. No, of course. Why only? Why I don't know. It's the will of the Creator that in this time, under these conditions, a person can acquire the upper light is surrounding. No, that's it. What can one? He says that the life on this earth is temporary, so we need to be on this planet as guests, which doesn't take place on this world, but that's our responsibility to act as guests, to come and act according to the rules of the place. Secondly, between the concealment and the revelation. So he writes, how is it possible that there will be so much of a distance between one another, where one there is a corporeal succor, and one is a spiritual succor, which is clouds of glory which are where on one part of the awakening, from below the making of the succor is an actual succor, and on the part of the awakening from above it is the 7 clouds of glory. The feeling is that these physical actions, we cannot connect them to spiritual actions, but to know that there is always this connection between each and every state, the physical and the spiritual. That is a question. Yes, nevertheless, to associate all our actions relative to the succor, the suck from corpor it to spirituality. Friend is asking from Mach 4, how do we build a kosher succor in the 10? I don't know what this question means. If you have an opportunity, each turn could move to a new place and build the su there from the waste of the ban and the winery. How does the 10 connect to this instrument, which is called a sukkah? Su is like a home except temporary, and you connect to it. Connect from you connect greatly according to the judgments. You need to respect it greatly. What can I say? I don't know. People are the place all kinds of valuables into it. No, that's how it is. It's here that we don't pay attention to externality so much, but in truth you can walk into certain sewers. Well, even used to he came with a succor, and they decreed or they judged it to be the most beautiful su in. So without building a succor in the tea, will we not be able to enter the spiritual world? I cannot say that, but it's a commandment that a person must perform each one. You don't need to wait to have several friends, and then you'll do it together. You're by yourself in the forest and the field. It doesn't matter. You must build for those 7 days. It's written, exit a temporary residence and sat in a permanent. Exit a permanent residence and there a temporary residence. What is the difference between the one is temporary, one is permanent? Temporary is for 7 days, and the permanent is for as long as you want. There's no limitation when a person exits a permanent residence and enters a temporary residence. What should he pay attention to? What intention he is now fulfilling the commandment, the mitzvah, to sit for 7 days in this temporary lodging. Woman, what's the meaning of sitting for 7 days? Not just in, but all these holidays have 7 days. That's how they creed. That's what they determined, and sages explained to us what to do. I heard that you spoke now that the surrounding light progresses a person in. What does the surrounding light progress a person in the work? Is it in connection with the Creator? Yes, the surrounding light connects a person with the Creator. What is the action of sit or dwell? What do you need to do doing the to sit? Meaning in all of your free time when you don't need to connect yourself to something, so you are in the sukkah. So spend as much time as possible in the sukkah, as much time as possible. Yes, should a person think about the sukkah, have a certain attitude for the we study, usually so simply study. We take a certain book and we study. It's very respected and small thing. Typically you build the sukkah for the family. It's more about passing the time in the sukkah, sitting there. Yes, this construction process for a person, is there any additional value to it beyond, can I be a guest? People, there's no problem with that, so it's enough to be a guest so in a place where we sit for 7 days. Yes, just to see if I understand correctly, the meaning of sukkah is building of the screen. You say that surrounding lights are suot is the screen. He builds it and he doesn't use it yet because there's no inner lights, only surrounding lights. In no, there's so in a light. The person who is in a sukkah receives from all that external influence upon him. He also receives the inner light. I thought from the entire explanation is that the meaning of Sukkot is the building of the screen before a person begins to work with it. No, that is really a use. Okay, so from everything we learned, in what is the difference between when a person builds the screen, arranges it, or screen comes to from above? The difference is that it builds a person and that comes from above. What's special about this holiday, as we learned, is that a person generates the opportunity in which he can acquire surrounding light. Right, yes, so creating this opportunity brings him closer to the Creator, yes, and that's a result of from below up, the awakening from below. Yes, okay, we also learned that if a person does not from this concealment, they come, and they do it to him from above. Yes, what should invest in this holiday to learn about these insights in the 10 the friends, to invest in the connection between the friends and to rise common yearning to the Creator, which will be the thatch. No, simply to raise your deficiency to the Creator. Last one. How does the tack that we build between us in the group, in the 10, in the between the friends, in the connection, how does it this dash look relative to the Creator? What does it look like? It is our screen under which we exist. We sit together, and that is how we relate to the Creator through that screen. Can we say that we collect a common coarseness and we raise it, yes, and all the objections to connection that we identify between us, we raise that too, and when it's above our heads, what do it work then? That in such a way we raise it above our heads, that screen where we want through it to be connected with the Creator. For these resistances to be, what are the potential for turning to the Creator? I'm not going to interpret for you in that way, sorry, excuse me more, yes. On the one hand, we build the sukkah from the waste of ban and winery. It's a temporary lodging. On the other hand, they say that adornment is important, yes. For whom do I adorn it? I can make it comfortable for the ego. I can put an AC in there. Is it for bestow for the friends? What is the matter of adornment? Here the matter of adornment is that I relate to this mitzvah, this commandment, generally as very important. It's very important to me, and I want through it to feel that I come closer to the Creator because of the commandment. It's written, and so you do it, yes. Well, but who it for? Because I am about to receive, where the intention is for the Creator. Who do you do it for if not for yourself? Be egoistic. I maker is the most comfortable and everything, so it's not exactly temporary. I understand it's a mitzvah, but it's commandment. But what's the meaning of the adornment? Significance is a mitzvah, a commandment that am commanded to build this sukkah, through which I build this closeness to the Creator. Yes, from the Bible, it's about every citizen in Israel. What does it mean? Why is he person, every person in Israel? I don't know, but it says that it's really necessary, for it's an obligation for each and every one. Thank you. It's an obligation for each and everyone. Is that all? Okay, here we have only two. Let's start with okay, what does it mean with our intentions to build a temporary lodging? If we say that the building of the degree has to be eternal, that I'm going to bestow to the Creator all the way, so what's the meaning that this is a temporary lodging? We want to enter into a special connection with the Creator, which is called sukkah, and when we build that connection, it should be clear to us that there are these walls and a roof, meaning that the thatch, or accordingly, we want to be connected between us and with Him, with the Creator. That is all, and the rest of the conditions are nourished, which relate to the details of the connection. What this connection of the Kabbalistic 10 with the Creator through this sh, what is a Kabbalistic 10 go through when you place concealment on the light of the Creator? What kind of experience do you accumulate from that? They receive the surrounding light, which brings them feeling and knowledge of their connection with their Creator. What does it mean that you acquire surrounding life if you conceal their light? Means that they conceal themselves somewhat, through which they receive but differently through the surrounding light. Commandment is for every citizen in Israel to build their so if I want to make sure that all the desires in Israel will be in order to bestow, then I must correct my 7 SB. Is that correct? Correct, Turkey. 2. For how can a person come to the revelation of sanctity or of concealment? And yet during Sukkot there are additional lights that come to us if we observe the conditions of the how do we do that through the correct incorporation between us and from between us to the Creator, where we observe the conditions of the inner and outer lights, or the inner and surrounding light, and then we through that we enjoy from this addition of right. Yes, now the 7 days in Aot have incorporation between these days themselves and between the days of Sukkot, and the outcome of this incorporation comes in a special line in the connection of the two of them. That is a quite complicated question. Women we have from woman. Karbu hello dear Aravi world CLER. In the 4th paragraph it's written that you hide them in concealment of the face from the conspiracies of man. Does this mean that we are when what goes on in the sukkah is protected? Right, the sukkah is also protection. Thank you. CC 14 hello Rob and world CLE. How do we make all of corporeality and our corporeal desire subservient to the goal during sukkah? That's a problem. We will need to learn that, but that's still before us. It is still before us. Okay, what are we doing? Yes, he said that the thatch the screen is the main. You said that the thatch the screen is the main thing in the sukkah. It symbolizes the screen. So what are the 4 walls that support the screen? These are conditions for which the screen will be placed above you. The main thing is the thatch. Can I understand what are these conditions? They are depicted, they are written in their books, meaning we need to observe the conditions of the construction of the sukkah, and it is written about that very precisely with all kinds of depictions, and in that way we correct their soul. Building the sukkah means building their soul on the new conditions, and when we build it or finish building it, then we receive a corrected soul, where in practice we ourselves built it, even though we did so with the forces that we received from above. Another one it says conceal it from those who conspire and from multitude of tongues, languages, that it is worthwhile in every mitzvah there is a concealed part that we need to conceal from others, maybe even from ourselves, and to reveal only in relation to the Creator. Is that what we need to be aware of in this time? Yes. Unity, good morning. Please tell us understand that there is 1,000 friends are sitting there. How would you recommend we build a sukkah? Here didn't understand. I understand that here is the building you created that has many friends, men and women, but what would you recommend to us to build? How can each one build his own sukkah? Not even everyone together. You don't need to build that with material. It's simply to depict yourselves, that you are ready to find yourselves in that state for a week, a full week to work, to do everything possible, but that is your inner state. That is what is important. I think that toward next year we will be ready to build between us a spiritual sukkah, and then everyone, we will all feel how we are in it. We'll go to the next article from Rash Volume 3, Article 284. I have a minor mitzvah commandment whose name is sukkah, that we are reading in Rabash Volume 3, Article 284. I have a minor mitzvah, a minor commandment whose name is sukkah. I have a minor mitzvah whose name is. Why is it called a minor sukkah, a minor mitzvah? It is because there is no shortage of money in it, and we should understand why. Specifically, sukkah is regarded as having no shortage of money in it, since certainly costs more than any other commandment, such as MZA and so on so forth. For example, according to what is explained in the Zohar, is called a shadow. The faith interpreted that the word su comes from the word thatch, which covers the mind, since faith is considered specifically above reason. Hence, in the future, when everyone seeks reward, we should interpret that it pertains to people who are from the descendants of Israel. If they did not engage in tar and mitzvah for the sake of their Creator, they can ask for reward for their actions for the sake what their intention was when they engaged in towing for the sake of the Creator they can ask for reward for their actions, but they intend it while they engage into MIT, but the Creator pays only for those who work for him, as in the story that was written in the books about someone who was learning for a cat. At that time the Creator tells them observe a minor mitzvah, namely faith, meaning when you perform commandments, your intention should be lishmer for her sake. In this there is no shortage of money, meaning they do not need to do other works or MIT for the sake of their Creator, but through the same commandment that he does and for which he spends money for lishma, not for her sake. Because when working for the sake of the Creator, all he needs while doing it is their thought and thinking does not cost him money, for in any case he's performing. However, his intention is for the sake of others, hence when he aims for the sake of the Creator, meaning with faith in the Creator called Sukkar, he has no shortage of money at that time. Through faith in the Creator, it turns out that he works for the sake of the Creator, and then the Creator pays his reward to all those who work for him. Shot any questions? Again, Article 4. I have a minor mitzvah whose name is Sukkar. I have a minor mitzvah whose name is Sukkar. And why is it called the minor mitzvah? It is because there is no shortage of money in it, and we should understand why specifically is regarded as having no shortage of money in it, since Sukkar certainly costs more than other mitzvah, such as MZA, to what is explained in the source. Sukkar is called the shadow of faith, interpreted that the word Sukkar comes from the word which covers the mind, since faith is considered specifically above reason. Hence in the future, when everyone seeks reward, we should interpret that it pertains to people who are from the descendants of Israel. If they did not engage in Torah, and for the sake of the Creator they can ask for reward for their actions, what they intended while they engaged in Torah, and the Creator pays only those who work for him, as in the story that was written in the books about someone who's learning for a cat. At that time the Creator tells them observe a minor mitzvah, namely faith, meaning when you perform MIT commandments, your intention should be lishma for her sake. In this there is no shortage of money, meaning they do not need to do other works or for the sake of the Creator, but through that same mitzvah that he does and for which he spends money for the lishma, not for her sake. Because I'm working for the sake of the Creator, all he needs while doing it is the thought and thinking does not cost him any money, because he performed, for in any case he is performing a mitzvah. However, his intention is for the sake of others, hence when he aims for the sake of the Creator, meaning with faith in the Creator called Sukkar, he has no shortage of money at that time. Through faith in the Creator, it turns out that he works for the sake of the Creator, and then the Creator pays his reward to all those who work for him. Here is clear, except it's not clear why it's called light or minor mitzvah. To do this work above reason is the challenge of a person's life. Why is this called a minor or light commandment? It has no action that is corporeal, but only thought. What's more difficult than aiming the thought? Yeah, that's correct, but that, therefore, it's how they speak that it's a light mitzvah. You don't need to work to gather money to do something forcefully for days and night, etc. An easy thing, which has no corporeal measurement. More, no, here with me I also have no question. Yes, please. He speaks here in the article about how faith is called specifically above reason, and you need to have your SCH, which covers the mind. Yesterday we had a meal, a very powerful meal really. Today we're going to have another meal. What to do when a person is inside the meal and he's got a great deal of impression, he's impressed, inspired. How to work with it? Have to work about reason. You have to place a concealment. How to work within this impression, this inspiration. I don't know, you need to seek how to carry that out to the very end. That desire that surfaces maybe nevertheless when we're together with all the friends and we sing. Yes, it's truly is great joy and gratitude to the Creator. Maybe the intention gets lost, but you don't think about it, but you're simply in the general spirit of the society, which is something special, very so what to do inside that moment that you are all together. Yes, well, what's the question? Should I stop myself? Or I don't know, try not to get overly excited and begin to work to place a thatch, as he says on this impression. The inspiration doesn't disturb you, on the contrary. Why do you want to erase your inspiration? I don't want to erase it. I just want to know if it's okay or not. How to check myself or not to check. Whatever comes to you comes from the Creator, and even on all kinds of transgressions doesn't matter at all. Comes from the Creator, and you need to know how to respond to it correctly. Because through your response you change your attitude, your relation towards the Creator, and you come closer to Him, or God forbid the opposite, and so on. So exactly what kind ocean is the correct one when we're all together, when we all feel so close as one man in one heart. What is the proper reaction toward the Creator to be is one man, like you said. One man with one heart. Is there something else we need to place into it? Another type of reaction, response, another thought? There are a lot of things from this moment on. You can do all the actions whichever you want. Thank. Usually we say that the thought comes from the desire, and we don't want to enter all kinds of scrutiny, but we need attention. Yeah. What thought is rubbish talking about here, which is to observe this nearing the Creator if you're directed towards Him in order to come back to come close to Him, to hold on to Him, to hug, to bring yourself to His degree, and to incorporate there in the Creator. That is what you want, that's what you're asking for, and that's what you're expecting. And then my thoughts support the actions like a corporal action. Yes, and then after that the hearts are drawn after that. Yehovah, that the actions that are being described here, how do we do them in the 10? What does it mean that I perform them? These actions, the actions that you want to do, have to be to happen in the 10. Yeah, how does it happen? Does it truly need to be in practice when I'm feeling the friends, or could be so that you talk to them, that you pray for them, or that together you pray, and in this way you want to tame that desired state? Can I also imagine that state as if I'm sitting with the friends without feeling them in practice? Truly, well, let's say so. Yeah, what's preferred is to do it with all your hands and legs and mind and heart. It turns out that I'm somehow in some I am a nation. I can imagine something like as if I am with them, but in practice we're not together really. We're not really building it. Okay, that's good too. That's so good. He writes that a person is in some kind of distant place from home, from friends, and so on, and then he imagines for himself that he's with them together, and how they're sitting together with him and everybody, and now he wants to pass through them the best possible feelings. These concepts always repeat themselves. The permanent and dwelling. A house is ready, a place with light, with correction anide. What is this dwelling? This house is a vessel that any relation to the weather, it's correct or not well with, without. It depends what you're talking about. Okay, CLE is a desire, yet so desires that are permanent and desires that are temporary. Right, so the temporary desires are from above, or is it something that from the initiative of a person? Temporary or permanent desires, or in according to the way a person wants to use them, meaning these are desires that always exist, and a person either uses or doesn't use them. Yes, I identified with Iran's question earlier about the meal, because we really have several meals this week, and there's this very good feeling in this. Yesterday there are many friends from the whole world, Israeli CLE, and friends on the screens with us, and from the whole world CLE. It was tasty food and songs and a good feeling, truly a good feeling, but we didn't come for a good feeling, we came for spiritual attainment. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but how do we make the meal more internal, to even more only according to your demand? You all need to come with a demand to reach a spiritual result, and you accept the meal as a means, and then you can already make something great of that meal so we to prepare for this let they talk about it in the 10 and the group all together and how to prepare for meal yes. Yep, it's a really special time that really felt like a very unique opportunity. Do they also have one yes? Today there's a guest meeting every day. So great, so try today before the meal to mention it, remind yourself, speak about it and see how it takes place. Very important things. Very, I also feel like it's like that's the attack that Rubbish talked about, and he also really gives it's the first time that he actually relates corporality to spirituality. I'm talking about as if there are very special times that come upon this corporal world and some kind of cyclical manner, and that's the attack that we can take advantage of because it won't repeat itself. It's like it will repeat itself after 300 and something days, but so it's too bad that we miss this opportunity and make the most of it even if we don't attain it, but at least as you said next year, God willing. Yes, you used to say that if we want to attain this holiday, so we have to be in an attack. I also wanted to say about the meal yesterday. Many friends from the Israeli came. I felt this great responsibility in the meal that many friends are coming from all over the country, from the north, from the south. What will they come out? So they come out with a big impression from this toil and investment to come here. Is there such a thing in this thing, or to just flow with the friends that are there without concerns? Concern is something each one has to have, and each one has to see himself as working with everyone together towards the goal. What should we be concerned about? That when everyone's in this great impression and connection, is there room to enter some concern here? Concern for connection and for being with everyone together, and this general motion towards the purpose of life. And what does my little concern where I'm sitting with these many, how does it work? It works, and how concern in man's heart is something very important. Another question about these two articles that we read this morning. It kind of confused me a little bit. In the last article we just read, he says, the thought does not cost him money. I mean, it's all going to be clarified in thought. The whole idea of the sukkah is in the thought. And the first article, the Su needs to be built. Our patriarchs, our forefathers built it. There has to be done in a certain unique way. What's the connection between this corporal and spiritual? What's the decisive force here determines is your tendency, the inner tendency of man. What is drawn on towards? I'm drawn to building a sukkah in my internal layer. As they speak, what do you mean internal? Mean to build the common cle in the T. There's nothing more important. So for what is all this show of building and doing and this tradition, this custom? Who needs it? It's so don't the deed in every commandment. There's the part of the deed because we're connected to this world. To what does it add to spirituality? When you do that, it's a great vision. Without that deed, even symbolically, a person won't develop the inner inclination that he has in him. I don't think so. No, because he must still come out of the permanent house. Obin acquire all those materials that he builds the sukkah from. Thank you. Why? Okay. Oh, can would it be correct to relate to the faith of the Creator as a reward? At contentment to the Creator is the reward as a result of the thatch, yet meaning it's above the thatch. Well, why is that important? Yes, but this actually needs to be like the main reason we enter the Su, and that's the word. In his article, Rash emphasizes that it's a light mitzvah, a minor mitzvah, to aim the thought that you do everything for the sake of the Creator. For but nevertheless the building of the sukkah comes. Sully, what do you mean? There's some article we read that you build the walls from the palm branches, and but weinchen we're being pushed to build the sukkah from above. You feel you're being pushed. That's actually what a mitzvah is, a commandment as far as being commanded. So you can say that about anything. Now he says that what prevents it is the intellect, the mind. And what we do is we cover the mind with the thatch. What is that? action of covering our mind with. That, yes that, the beyond your mind you have the BCH, that through it you connect to the heavens. Actually all these tradition of the in, the guests and sitting in the sucre X actually, and all. The decoration of the is for the sake of the creator, not necessarily for the guests, meaning to host the guests to bring contentment to the creator actually. That's the point, yeah, that's the connection. Well, and practice it's to bring contentment in. Man of Lishma. Yeah, can I heard Rob said that to whatever extent you can sit in the Sioux for person in his free time, can we say that now that we're sitting in the lesson and we're coming to the meal, can you also say that we're sitting in a sucre? No, you see walls, ceiling, this isn't the sucre, but actually, let's hope that we will have permanent temporary living, for I also heard that every friend that will come to the meal they would doing this evening also we have to do this. How is that even connected to the holiday too? This action towards building ochre is it connected in some way? Holiday isn't building the sucre, the holiday is that ye finished building the sucre, and then in it ye dwell in it for 7 days, and that concern that I'm worried about every friend that will come to this meal will be together. Is it connected to the holiday of Suot? That action somewhat, yes, not directly, but it does belongs, that's it. Yes, we'll move to the next part of the lesson still. Have the guest we have select excerpts on Isaac Y, but before that we'll sing a so in the shadows, searching the S to break free from the chains of their mind beneath the surface. Deep in the heart there's a melody to guide us all, broken pieces piecing the skin, chasing voices L in the wind, through the fire starting to rise to a world that's waiting in your bright drops of unity, to a place above that man every in harmony. They're one heart we going to sing together, one H we're going to sing together. There's a hot beat breaking through, there's a dance, and we're learning the moves. One started to rise to the world is waiting in your eyes, the drops of unity to a place above them many every in harmony. They're one heart we going to sing together, one want to sing together. Drops of unity to a place above the every note in harmony. They're one heart we're going to sing together, one heart we going to sing together. Hearts sing together. We're going to be reading select excerpt from the sources on the topic of the 7 the guests of we excerpt number 5 under the heading Isaac the of excerpt number 5 from Rash. Abraham went on the right the correction of the quality of mercy, meaning that he wants for this reason from the quality of he extends adhesion with the life of lives. However, Isaac went on the left line, called to work in nab or overcoming the vessels of reception, so as to work in order to bestow, and because he was working on the left, meaning to see a situation within reason, he sees the faults and the state the separation, since in the state of the left a person is in a state of deficiency while the creator is called whole, and the curse does not cling to the lest. For this reason Isaac had to be included with Abraham. This is why it was written Abraham begot Isaac, although everyone knows this, but it teaches us that in the quality of Isaac who is left there is also the quality of bright which is, and from there it receives life. Jacob is the midline, so he certain contains K, yes, then Lot no questions. Yeh, he says that the left line includes within it the right line, and the quality of Isaac, so that's not the midline already. What's the difference between that and the mid line? It's not the left anymore, it's already what happens on a certain degree, not in a pure way, but as a result of the incorporation of the mixing. These are 2 necessary states of advancement, but it's not yet the middle line. Yet so it was said that also the midline is included from left line, and left line is included from the right. Is the right line only on its own? Is Abraham only right? Abraham is the right only. Yes, in pure way those qualities are called the forefathers, that they aren't included of one another, but only later in their sons, as we say, then they incorporate. Because according to the description, the way it's like Abraham, where it starts with from the bride, and then to the left. In the middle, they're included also from the right, but Abraham is like the source. What Isaac is overcoming it to the left line. What is the what are they overcoming? These qualities. Every quality works on its own, and also works outside of itself towards the other qualities. Obviously intense. Bestowal is towards what comes after it. Let's say Isaac is and afterwards comes, so then it already works. That quality works in a unique way. A friend from Hebrew 1 Women is asking, what does it mean that the left receives vitality from the right? The right shines, and through that illumination the left receives livelihood from its student. From one is asking, why is Isaac representing the left? He must incorporate from Abraham what? That force that the right line gives him, because Isaac is lacking it's the force of their left. That's why it must connect to the right, and then it'll have an incorporation in a way of incorporation. It can work with those two qualities. What is the action of the middle line? The middle line, its action is very broad, because first it connect the contradicting qualities that cannot be in one place and one vessel. That's why the middle line is the line of correction. If we observe the order of the wheel, see that there's always a connection common, bestow on one another in corporation and a new order. I would like, I don't know what else to say. Can the left not exist without the right, and the right can't exist without the left? Obviously, the right can. The left cannot exist without the right. The left itself has no force of life on its own. Can the right exist on its own? The right can exist without the left. But if it wants to expand, so it also needs the left. Can we understand from this that the right is the foundation of creation and everything based on it? Yes. Thank you very much. Why does he emphasize this matter that Abraham had to beget Isaac? Because before that he says that the curse does not cling to the blessed. Why was it so important in the development for Abraham to give birth to Isaac, or begot Isaac? And there's a connection, because we don't see in the development of all the forces as we continue like this, like Abraham begot Isaac, because here it says if he goes against the nature of creation, the nature of creation is more and more to accept qualities that belong to the upper one, and in according to that to put limitations from the lower one. That's why Abraham, when he beats Isaac, it's as if he does in actions that are against nature. Against nature Isaac came out of him. It's like at the root of the world to receive for mal for all kinds of actions that are opposite of Abraham. That's why we'll talk about it. We'll learn how Abraham was working for all the generations that came after. It's so in that context they also wanted to ask, they're talking about the wholeness of the perfection of the Creator. And my question, Abraham, Isaac and Jacob, these three forces, is that sufficient to get to know the wholeness of the Creator? Actually know the entire wholeness of the Creator, we need all the vessels and all the actions that come till the end of correction, because then we can actually see what is revealed as a result of the building of the general common vessel that the Creator aimed towards to begin with. But still we can already see from the first actions, especially from the first three actions, that the plan of creation is to do good to his created beings, and it can take place only by combining the qualities. It's exactly that combination, because you said that each one is on its own, but on the other hand we see that Isaac is incorporated already with Abraham, and Jacob is incorporated from both forces together. That's why I asked beforehand if we see these three fundamental forces of nature, that by them you can actually, yes, you need the rest in continuation, but I feel like these are very power forces with which you can reveal the force of what the Creator is between us. Yes, you're right. Yet why are they called? Guessed their qualities. They are revealed each one on a special day, appears in those that are in the sukkah. That's why they are called the guests. It's like are receiving guests. Yes, but we receive. Quali, it's not. Temporary, no so. What so why are they called? Guest something, temporary. Oh, because, still they are revealed on the path of do we call them not vessels? Not. Vessels, not the fundamental vessels. Supposedly, how should I say it in a right way? Maybe not permanent vessels, you mean? Maybe not. Permanent. Yeah, okay, yes. About the quality of when I make an action of connection with a friend's eye. Awaken light, I feel relieved, I feel warmth, but then a disturbance comes or something from the side and I'm forced to raise a prayer in order to return to the state of connection. So the question is the quality of does it come from the disturbance or from my yearning towards the create? All the qualities eventually are necessary to us. That's clear in the one general P which attains correction and is filled with the final correction. Then all of these qualities are emphasized in a whole manner and not one of them is redundant. So it's like an expression of desires that weren't revealed yet, but they will strengthen my yearning for spirituality. Yes, that's correct. Yes, the quality of it's a quality that connects all the other qualities, not all the other qualities, but it connects between. Then so could I say that the quality of I can speak about it without yes, of course, it is a quality in and of its own we'll learn that it'll settle in gradually. Ken. Yes, Abraham got Isaac, so is it right to understand that this quality of that wants to bestow to the Creator? It recognizes the Creator's desire that wants to bestow upon the W to receive. That's why Beg got Isaac, the root of the W to receive from the Creator's desire, just as she wanted to only be bestowed. But she had to make room for the W to receive to exist because that's the actual will of the Creator to bestow to. It is it right to depict it in this way? Yes, we'll talk about that, about how each quality or phase or discernment discloses what it needs to do in order to enforce the entire incorporation of all the qualities together. I also see a connection between the four phases of direct light that at the end of every quality it reveals the need for the next quality, the next state. Yes, so the Creator's desire is what is felt. Let's say if a person is only bestow, and it's not enough if the Creator wants him to bestow to the world to receive, he has to start working with this quality. Too wonderful if you start thinking that way, then we will maybe understand what is written in the internality of all the qualities. With Hal together it will be very, very beneficial. All right, so we have a meal today. Main thing, tonight in the evening we have a meal. Everybody's welcome, or at least to connect to the broadcast. That's this evening, and we're going to keep going. Keep studying between us. We're going to read Zohar about Sukkot. So next part of the lesson, we're reading from the chapters about the holidays, specific chapter about Sukkot. The subtitle is 4 kinds. We're continuing in item 412, 4 kinds. 412 it is written, the fruit of citrus tree, branches of palm trees. The fruit of the citrus tree is a citron, but does a citron come from the citrus tree? After all, there are several thorns surrounding it in the citron tree. However, it is written, the Lord God fashioned into a woman the rib which he took from the man and brought her to the man, and also this is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh, and this is the fruit of a citrus tree. For man is called a tree. The inner meaning of the words the Lord fashioned into a woman the rib concerns which were emanated as to. Afterwards the emanator cut them off from one another, and mal was a rib of. Zed is called the tree of life, and mal is the fruit of that tree, the cit, which implies to mal. This is why the Torah calls it the fruit of a citrus tree, as it is the fruit of a citrus tree. Said 43 branches of palm trees. The palm tree amounts to 70 years, which imply 2 in which the 70 upper years were completed, meaning each of them consists of 10 Hence they are 70. This was tied connected above, in and below in. Mal, which is why they are called cap branches, but also such as, which means ti. This is so, because rises to, and it is written for all that is in the heaven and in the earth is called all, and it is tied to the heaven and to the earth, which is 414. The fruit of a citrus tree is an altamal, which bears fruit and brings out fruits to all sides. It is called the fruit of a citrus tree because every 70 years, which are where each consists of 10, thus they are 70, is given a share, and she is blessed by all of them. Also said is called a sit tree, and one who sins and blemishes the altar sins and blemishes the whole of the 7. Of this is because mal is tied opposite from that one who is bound and tied above, meaning this is the reason why mal was tied to the 7 of, and this is also why it is written the fruit of the citrus tree branches of palm trees, to show that they are bound in each other. 415. It is written this is the concentrated portion of air, and the consecrated portion of his sons. This is the altar mal, which was noted by Aaron, and it is written, and you shall anoint the altar of burnt offering, and all its vessels, and the consecrated port of his sons are the rest of the which hang down from. This is so, because the altar, which is his anotion by all of them, and it grows and is blessed and is purified. 416. On the holiday of Sukkot, the feast of tabernacles, the altar is circled once each day, and in the end 7 times. What does that teach us? A king who invites guests and is busy with them had only one daughter. She told him, my lord the king, you are not watching over me because of the guests. He told her, my daughter, I shall raise up to you one gift each day, which is worth as much as all of them. 417. To each day of the feast Israel would offer 70 bulls corresponding to the 17 nations of their world. The altar, meaning man, said to the holy king, sin, there are portions and shares for all the nations, and what do you give to me? He told her, each day the 7 high seas, which are the 7 of sin, because each is mingled with all the others, will surround you and give you 70 portions each day. This is because each consists of 10, corresponding to the 70 bulls offered during their feast, which correspond to the 17 nations. It turns out that each day Israel offer, corresponding to all the nations of the world. 418. It is 7 parts each day, even though they only circle one, since each day is blessed by all of them, since the 7 are mingled in one another, and the particular of each day comprises all 7. Thus they are 70, corresponding to the 70 nations. At the end of the 7 days, on the 7th day of the feast, mal is blessed from the place where the anointing oil is found, from where there is the abundance of cold oil. This is a reason for the 7 circles corresponding to all those 7 days, which are the 7 of to continue, and to keep the blessings for her from the wellspring of the stream that always flows and never stops, which is Bener. Turns out that her blessing each day of the 7 days of Sukkot through the 7 days is a blessing from the wellspring of the stream, from of which eyes does not always flow but stops, meaning it does not shine in Hes, but during prayer Sabbaths and on holidays, and also on the 7th day of Sukkot, when the altar is circled 7 times, she is blessed 7 times together, and then all the blessings are kept in her from the high place where the wellspring flows and never stops, which is Bener. 419. On each of the days of the holiday, it is said about her and declared, while the barren gives birth to 7, and she who has many children languishes while the barren gives birth to 7, is the assembly of Israel, which is blessed each day by the 7 of sin, and in the end rises to the high number of I and B, and she who has many children languishes are the idol-worshipping nations of their world, who are of a great number of 13 bulls on the first day and then dwindle each day down to 7 bulls. Thus the altar atones for the iniquities of Israel. The altar purifies them and imparts upon them blessings from above downwards. 420 and boughs of thick trees. This is the holy kinjet which grips to both sides, and this is so because is the midline which contains the 2 lines within it. This is the reason why the myrtle is 3 branches and boughs of thick trees means a branch that will become a bough of a thick tree which will grip to the right and to the left, and willows of the brook are 2 pillars and H from which the abundance flows of the branches of palm trees which is gripped above in sin and below in malachite, and mallet emerges from the thorns of the trees from the denim which are called the thorns of sin, which is called a tree since she is built from thyme of sin, and so it is with the branches of palm trees that are why that grips to them as well, meaning the thorns of the tree the of sin, since thou leans to the left of sin where there are, and certainly everything that comes out to the world comes out of 4 kinds. 421 Then I will go to the altar of God. The altar of God is the alara of above. It indicates to the well of Isaac, meaning mal, which is called a well, and is made of which is Elohim God, called Isaac, and sometimes she's called the altar, meaning as it is written, he arose from before the altar of the Lord, hence the worlds inherit from mal, and judgment and mercy, since she is nourished from the side of Jer and from the side. Friends, as we conclude the lesson, we're going to move now to our workshop. We'll talk about the things we heard from Rob in the lesson. I think asked him, how do you make the meal into more spiritual, and are answered only in accordance with our demand, if you will all be in a demand to reach a spiritual result, and you receive the meal as a means, then in this meal you'll be able to do something. Great question. So do we need to prepare for this meaning? Talk in the 10 and in the group about how to prepare for the meal. Yes, try it today before the meal. Remind it to one another. Talk about it and you'll see how it is manifested. These are very important things, very much, and we already want to prepare ourselves for the meal this evening. Let's talk in a workshop but how we can prepare for the meal this evening such that it will be more spiritual. Again, an active workshop. How will we be able to prepare for the meal this evening so that it will become more spiritual? Please, we need to prepare ourselves to come to the meal with a demand like yesterday will strengthen our connection and our inspiration. We just have to remember that it's not for ourselves. All the excitement and the connection is in order for the Creator to be our partner and rejoice with us, and that all the connection and inspiration will be devoted to Him, for Him that He will be the partner, and He will be joyous of our meal. Yes, to be in gratitude for these times during this meal in all the flavours and scents that we will feel between us, specifically the taste and smell that is beyond that above the table. Say thank you and simply between us adhere to the one that gives us these lights. We also repeated it in the lesson a few times, the point that we're doing certain actions, deeds, and our hands and legs but well, and that's because we got a commandment, but our head should be in the clouds, if we could say so. Our thoughts should be towards the friends and towards the rest of our big group, and obviously towards the Creator too. From this we come, we do deeds and we connect and all that, but from that direction of connection for their friends and for their sakes, as are said to us, we need to explain the spiritual results. Consequence, we need to expect the spiritual result. We have to expect it. And what is our expectation from Sukkot? During Sukkot we want to be in one body, all of us, all the 4 types to be in one body, and that's the result we expect. And when they will be in one body, that's our neutral attack. That's what the Creator hears and is happy with. Correct. And especially when we want to aim this mitzvah of sitting in the meal for it to base as much as we're capable to add the thought to it, prepare ourselves for the exalted thought during the day. What does it mean that we're coming to the meal? And not for our sake, not for the sake of others, but for the sake of Him. and to really think about this a lot, and to try and come with that intention to the meal. Yeah, we have to come to the meal. Remember that we're not coming for ourselves, we're coming for the friends. To give an example, for the friends, that each one will be in one intention in happiness, eating, drinking. But the food has to be spiritual. In this spiritual food we're serving as our offering for the Creator, we need to be certain that the heavens opened up truly during these times, and especially at the time of where the guests come, and this is the time where this light needs to be poured upon all of variety towards all the nations of the world. It's such time, after all the deeds and the intentions that we're trying to put on our deeds, we understand that the spirits are given from the Creator, and we're expecting Him to do that on the small awakening that we're doing from below, and not to forget that He has to work, and through Him, from Him, we have to demand, even in a very simple action that supposedly doesn't have an intention on it. We want to do it cause that's His commandment. We're expecting that the deeds that He is creating here and this world will open our connection with Him. Above saying that, we know that the main action we have is prayer, and we can imagine our meal as a prayer, and in the preparation for that prayer together, we can build the prayer as we were told, to praise the Creator, to give gratitude and thanks to the Creator, and to raise our prayer upwards, and that's what we can do in advance, so that this meal will be the highest result, the highest service that we can do. Main thing in this prayer is to include all our friends from around the world, that will all be together, and we really have many requests from many friends that are in very not simple states of war, states of health, that are in states of livelihood, and there's no lack of reasons to think of our friends. We really want that help to come for everyone, and we know that corresponding to all those personal requests, there's one general request, which is for when this light comes, it will fill everything corporal, spiritual, organize everything, settle everything, and we are aiming towards Him, and we're also expecting for all our personal requests for our friends will be answered. That's why we need to come prepared as a vessel in which we want to meet the Creator, that from the connection between us, this connection connecting between us will come, and we be a partner with this vessel we're building together, and we can all rejoice together between us, and from us to Him, with attention to Him, and we have to address or clear our ears and our heart to what the Creator is saying there. Why not? We'll hear Him in these ways, and others as He's teaching us, maybe in the most simplest of ways during this meal when we're together, and we want to have the meal more spiritual, to understand what we want to extract from this meal. What is its purpose? We should maybe say it right before the meal, that it will be clear what we want to take out of it. Why are we coming from? What's the purpose of our connection? That in the end we want our connection to bring our ability to turn to the Creator in prayer for our connection between us and Him. Yes, and in this connection it is written that the Creator wants each in Israel will be in their succor. What we can do in the preparation is to depict how all of Israel sitting together with us. Thank you, friends. We're going for 2 announcements. So friends, this week on Wednesday and Thursday we will celebrate. We'll go over the schedule. Now Wednesday,